Welcome back. Now let's get the show started. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to run an inclusive government in his second term, which begins on May 29th this year. He said all doors would remain open because
it is a way to build our country.
It certainly is the way to build our country. So, do you think that this is possible? All kinds of things have been said about him in his first term. How he is a bigot, how he is this, and how he is that. But he's promising us an inclusive government this time. And as he begins to wind down his first term in office and prepares for his second term, Nigerians are beginning to set the agenda for him, and they're listing the economy as one of the main issues that he has to look at. Now, to look at this issue of the agenda being set for the president with us this morning, we have three gentlemen in the studio. Mr. Olumide Olubenle, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. He's a transformational leadership expert. Beside him is Dr. Bumi Bewaji, Executive Director, Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reforms. Good morning.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for coming. And on my right is the Managing Director of Mahoriana Social Reformer, Maurice Ekpong.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, let me begin with you since I introduced you first. The president says he's going to run a more inclusive government come May 29th. I would like your thoughts about that. Do you think that is possible?
Well, that is the way to go, but what is his definition of inclusive? You have said more inclusive. So if we start from where, if we look at the last 4 years, what did we have? If I recall properly, this is probably the first government that we didn't have any form of significant turnover or change even amongst the ministerial cadre, though they came in a bit late. If you look at the parastatals, I don't think we had much turnover, much change as well. So it's more or less been quite static and probably a bit, shall I say, drag. There's a bit of a drag in governance. So if we say we are moving to an all-inclusive, are we going to have incremental change or are we going to have transformational change? So if you ask me, I would say if we were to define for him, we would like to see a major change.
You said that I said more inclusive.
Yes. I'm not sure that's what he said.
Okay, all-inclusive.
All-inclusive then.
Okay. Now, what do you think about what he has done so far?
In terms of inclusion?
Yes, if you say we can't use the word more, why do you say that?
Okay, if we look at the totality of his presidency, we've been told that more of the economic aspects have been given to the Southerners, as it were, and more of the security architecture resides with the North, possibly the Fulanis, as it were. So if you come from that, that doesn't leave a lot of people as comfortable. I don't particularly subscribe to the way we do the federal character thing. I believe in it, but not the way we do it, in the sense that whether you are competent or not, we just must fulfill that federal character thing. I believe, yes, we can say this is all allocated to this zone of the country, but you must provide competent people. Okay. Until there is a competent person, we will look for the next. We'll look for the best from whichever zone. When your zone has produced that level of competence, then we can put the person in. So with that, I would say, how has it fared? We are not comfortable. Okay. I am not comfortable. Okay. And I still don't understand the formula or the criteria for which he has taken his decisions. Okay. And
just put a comma there for now. Now, Doctor, Many people are saying that the economy is something that they should give priority to. Your thoughts?
Yes, of course, the economy is critical to the sustenance of the democracy itself. Already the president has already come out to say that he's going to stick with the 3-point agenda, which is concentration on the economy, on security, and also the fight against corruption. So the economy is critical, no doubt about it.
Okay. Can you just hold your thoughts? We'll take a quick break and we'll come back and continue to focus on the economy. Please stay with us. Guys, Dr. Baraji, you were talking about the economy, what the government should be doing about the economy in the next 4 years.
Yes, exactly. The 3-point agenda of the government, they are all interrelated. There cannot be a good economy without security. You need security to have a good economy. So as far as the economy is concerned, government also must continue the program of massive infrastructural development, because that is what drives the economy. So I think what the government should concentrate more in the next 4 years will be the building of the roads, the rails, and the power sector also in particular. So I think with that, that will give a boost to the economy.
Okay. But Ekpong, do you think that focus, is it just about the economy? Or how best do you think the 3-pronged agenda the president had used as a campaign strategy, how best would it be to attack those?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I think it's my view that as a nation, we need a new development paradigm, a new political paradigm, if you will. One that moves away from partisanship to a more conciliatory and collaborative approach. So you can't develop an economy without the people. You know, a party can't single-handedly develop, an economy. You need all parties to develop an economy. So I think the president's thought that he wants to run an inclusive government the second term is very well placed. He must, as a matter of fact, try to fix the broken nation that that we now have after the grueling elections that we just conducted.
Do you think the other political parties will be willing to buy into that?
If the focus is on Nigeria and not about our time to chop, in quote, then why can't we all join hands to build Nigeria?
Okay, now the other side of it is, when the president came in the first tenure, which is not yet over though,
yes,
there was that conversation about his body language. And there were those who were concerned that his body language did not match the body language of those around him. Now, he's talking a more inclusive government or an all-inclusive government. Do you think the people around him are saying the same thing?
Buying into that?
Well, if we take his first term as a template, the people that currently surround him are not, don't have this, don't appear to share the same values that he has. So
do you think anything is going to change this time around?
Well, it depends on Mr. President. I mean, the buck stops at his desk. I think President Buhari must rise above parochial, sectional, and party interests to become a father to Nigeria. That said, the onus would rest on him to choose the lieutenants that help him, because right now he should be more concerned about the kind of legacy he would leave behind. 4 years is a very short period of time. I remember I had my last daughter is going to be 4 years in March. It was just like yesterday when I had her. And, right now she's 4 years. So 4 years may look long, but in a political cycle, it's not very long. So he should be very concerned about the kind of legacy that he leaves behind and not allow himself to be taken aback by bootlickers and people who want to divert his attention from the things that would make him leave that legacy for the future.
Still on the economy, tied to that is also the issue of unemployment, which seems to be growing by leaps and bounds. As at the last quarter of 2018, we hear that unemployment had grown to about 23.7%. What would you like to see him do in that area? Our children are leaving school and they have no jobs. Even the artisans don't have the wherewithal to do what they have to do. There's no power. So unemployment is growing, and that cannot continue if we want our economy to improve.
The situation will continue to grow.
Not may, will.
Will. Okay? Just to give a background to all of this, our numbers are exploding. Desertification is driving people down south. External interests are shopping for resources at the cheapest possible means. I would want to see a focus more on agriculture.
Well, that's been done already, isn't it?
More, and I would explain. If you look at our national flag, for instance, it has 2 shades of green and a shade of white. And for the people who speak Yoruba and understand Yoruba, I grew up hearing some song in our own community. Can I sing that in Yoruba? Yeah?
And then you will translate, of course.
I will try, and maybe you'll have. It says, Ìwé kíkọ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pé o, kò ì pé o. Listen to this. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ a máa jalè. And I add NNPC. Somebody said we started having corruption when a gate man at NNPC or an oil and gas company, it is cap and more money than a farmer in the rural area. So we need to go back to agriculture. Not the kind of agriculture we're currently having where people are planting plantains and watermelon and everybody has now gone back to agriculture. No, that's not the kind of agriculture I'm talking about.
Well, we can talk about rice as well. We can talk about cassava.
Yes. Let me say 2 quick things before my time is up here. We took a trip to Israel to look at the agricultural setup there, and we visited.
Are you a farmer, by the way?
No, I'm not. But in the course of what I do, training people in transformational leadership, we visited this factory, and 20 tons of oranges keep coming in by the day, run by some 27-year-old girl in a computerized environment. Girl, 27. Now, 4 industries are fed from that little factory. They make pharmaceuticals from the juice, food industry, they export to Europe. They make cosmetics from the oil extracted from the orange, from the peel. And whatever is left becomes food for animals. Nothing is wasted. One product, orange. We had a lady there with us who came from Delta, and she screamed. And I said, why are you screaming? She said, in my village, we sweep this away every day because if we don't, the stench will be unbearable. Now, every local government in this country has natural endowments. Rather than concentrating on just growing, can we look at the entire value chain? Pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, food, animal forage, and the like, and encourage our people to go back there. Begin to invest more in the rural area so that there is no migration to the urban area. Encourage financial institutions, venture capitals to build around that local economy. Encourage colleges of agriculture, of education, or whatever, to service the peculiarity. So you're going to all of a sudden have ecosystem built around 774 local governments or senatorial districts.
But I dare to ask, in the midst of encouraging the local farmers, encouraging the local industries, encouraging the value chain,
yes,
do you think those in the local authorities are looking at that as well? Because, you know, the competition is we're setting an agenda for the president. But then there's a state government, there is a local government. Whatever policy he gives out there, or that he signs off on, they may not domesticate it in the state because each state is supposed to be an entity on its own. So do you think those ones will be willing to buy into this?
We don't have any choice. We don't have
They don't have any choice.
They don't have any choice. Well, let me, all inclusive right now, let's start thinking for ourselves. That is the way to go. We must focus on feeding our people. Once we've taken food out of poverty, we've solved a large chunk of poverty.
Dr. Berardi, do you agree with him?
Yes, to a large extent. First and foremost, I think we must get ourselves out of this mindset that we go to school just because we want to come out and then government will provide the jobs. I say there is no unemployment in Nigeria. What we have is unemployable. Because you have a curriculum that we developed pre-colonial period, which was to send people to the universities to go and learn how to be administrators, civil servants.
I beg to differ. I think the curriculum changed sometime in the early 90s, early 1990s. Because
what kind of people has it produced?
Yes, before that, the curriculum that was, the curriculum that was that if you're doing theory for 1 hour, you have practicals for another hour.
As it is today.
As it is today, you don't, that practical is hardly there.
Nigerian universities still produce graduates that are unemployable because they are being taught skills, or maybe let me even say theories, not skills. You are supposed to come out of the university and be an employer and not an employee. A situation whereby you go into the university with the mindset that you are coming out in 4 years to look for a job. Yes. That's a recipe for failure. So I think,
in other words, even our education has to be looked at.
Exactly. It's flawed. We are not, anybody going into, when any student comes to me and you say you want to choose a course of study for 4 years, I will ask you, in 4 years' time, how will this put food on your table? And if you cannot answer that question, I will say, don't waste your time. Go and learn some skills, be a bricklayer or a welder. That will put food on the table. So I think we need to look at the problem of unemployment in Nigeria in a holistic manner.
Mr. Ekong, this is a country where, for want of a better word, we are conceited. In America, for instance, welders make a lot of money, and they are sought after.
Exactly.
But how can you tell anybody that you are a welder? You want to say you are managing director of and dressed like Dr. Bewaji with your tie and your suit. I know of an architect who gave up architecture because he saw a need in the plumbing area, went back to school and studied plumbing, and is a very successful plumber today. But how many Nigerians can do that? We are too conceited. We are too proud. You can't say you are a plumber. Meanwhile, plumbers earn a lot of money. Welders earn a lot of money. But it's just I am a welder. You'd be ashamed to say it where there are people. So how do we get around that?
So, thank you very much. This speaks a lot to the kind of values that we now have. You know, back in the day, people celebrated work, hard work. You know, people appreciated other people's professions, no matter what it was, whether you were a teacher, a farmer, you know, everybody respected everyone. But right now we have a system that glorifies money, you know, that would give certain persons chieftaincy titles and national honors because of their the kind of resources that they control, in spite of how they amassed those. So we must rejig our national values. You know, so this comes right straight to Mr. President's table.
How do we do that?
We need to reorientate our people. We need to go back to the schools. A couple of years ago, I decided, you know, that if we must change Nigeria, there's a certain age bracket that we must go down to. We must go down to people in their kindergarten and nursery school and possibly primary school to begin to teach them again the values that make us Nigerians. And those values are enshrined in, you know, our national anthem, for instance.
Have you seen Chinese children singing their national anthem and reading their pledge?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have been indoctrinated.
Exactly.
Maybe that is what we should do.
Correct. But on the converse, you know, if people, even in the other day, we saw that there were people in the National Assembly who could not even recite our national
pledge.
anthem or our pledge. So it comes right down to, you know, what kind of country do we want to have? What kind of country? We must ask ourselves, today is yesterday's future. We all, knowingly or unknowingly, wittingly or unwittingly, created the future that we are currently in. So tomorrow is today's future. We have the opportunity to change tomorrow by changing the direction we are headed today.
Okay. We'll take a moment and we'll come back to continue the conversation. Please join us again.